This is Gary Johnson then, pre-Bromley at home. Gary, Aaron Downs said he's up yesterday. Have you spoken to him yet? Have you got sort of any update?
No, I haven't had the update yet, but I'm sure he's a good old un, so his knees will hold up with an operation, which he knows he's needed. He's had a couple before, so no, I can't give you any information on that, but I'm sure they'll tell us that the operation was successful.
And obviously, in terms of the rehab, having been through it before, he knows what to expect. He knows what's ahead.
Yeah, he does. I don't normally feel sorry for Rogers, but he's especially in the cricket. But he's, you've got to feel sorry for him because he's really worked hard this season. And he didn't want to miss any games or miss any minutes. And when I was going to rest him at a particular time, he said he didn't want to be rested. He didn't want to come off. So, he's a loss to us. But the big thing is as I said, he's around, and I'm just pleased to have him around. And hopefully, he's still just about young enough to get over his injury and play some more games in the future.
And after the weekend, you said a few had been struggling with a little bit of sickness. James Dayton and the others sort of back to full health?
Yeah, I think so. You can't never tell with Dates because he's, hiding that face behind his beard. So you don't know whether he's happy, sad, ill, fine. You don't know. But he was certainly fine in helping us, create the 2 goals. So if he can do that again, that'll be good. But he's training as normal, so he's fit. Who was the other one? Oh, George was the other one, actually, and I think he's fine as well now. They both certainly trained since the weekend.
And after that Dover result, all right, I imagine you want to, sort of score earlier on in the game, but you must feel, there's great belief in the camp, and it just proves what you've said all along about the character of the people here.
I think it's the spirit, isn't it? We call it the spirit of attack, spirit of defending, and that's what these lads have got. Obviously, as you lose people and you start bringing new people in, they have to learn very quickly the spirit of the group, and that they do have to throw themselves in front of something and take the ball in the face sometimes, take the ball in the midriff, wherever you got to take it. You have to do it for the team, and hopefully any new lads that come in or lads that haven't been playing regular that may come in have got that spirit naturally, because they wouldn't have had as many games in that attitude, if you like. So training becomes very important because I have to make sure they train like they play.
And presumably for the first team regulars, this is a full week of training because obviously not involved in the trophy midweek.
Yeah, no, that's good. When you get a full week, you can work on bits and pieces, and the weather looks nice this morning as we speak, so we'll get a good session in this morning. We'll probably do a bit of 11v11, so I can have a look at the side I might play on Saturday just to see whether it looks right. So it's a good, it's a good morning to be prepared for and preparing for Saturday.
And do you expect Cameron Burgess to be ready if you decide to pick him?
Yeah, he's ready. He's definitely ready. As far as his fitness is concerned, I've had a good chat with him. He's probably seen more videos on us and my philosophy than he has done the rest previously in his career, because I sat here with him, and but I could see that he was a football person because he was interested in things. He was intently watching as opposed to looking at his watch wondering when it was going to finish.
And I mean, I'm not saying you will go that way, but there are other ways that you could go, because obviously you've got the Harry Pell suspension to sort of account for as well, haven't you? Yeah,
we have. So of course there'll be a couple of changes because of that. It might be a positional change. But that's what I want to have a look at this morning, just to see what I need to do to make sure that we get a good performance out of the boys on Saturday.
Bromley not quite in the form that they were in back when you played them in the autumn.
No, they were right up there at the time, and that was a late goal, wasn't it, as well? So it's good that we're fit enough to put teams under pressure in those last few minutes, and we may have to do the same again this time. But yeah, they've got a couple of players that can win games for them. Obviously, the boy up front who's was scoring a lot of goals early on. He's dried up a little bit, but all strikers do that. We just don't want him starting scoring his goals against us.
How can you get the quality back into the game that you've said once or twice recently has been missing? Because the effort's there, but just that sort of that quality. How do you get that back?
I think if you talk to all the teams at the top there, you can't play your best game every week. It's impossible. The level we're at, people are at this level because of their inconsistencies, if you like. But the more consistent ones will obviously end up winning the league, and that's what we've got to try and do. And it just means that if you're not performing offensively at your best, you better make sure defensively you're performing, because you will always get chances at this level. You'll always have a part of the game that you're in the ascendancy, and there'll always be a part of the game where the opposition are in the ascendancy. You just got to make sure that your spirit of defending is good when your spirit of attack is not as good as it should be. All we need to do at the moment is just we've got a game that doesn't lose too many football matches. I looked up there because we had a meeting the other day, and maybe the cameras will show that in a minute. And because the lads were a bit sort of knocked down, they were really pleased with the result, but not necessarily the performance. And I spoke to them about our game is not losing any games, and that sequence of W's and D's up there, I wanted to show them, because that's since the last game we lost. And if you'd have put that up after the Tranmere game, everybody would have been very, very happy with that. Now, what we got is one or two teams that have got similar W's and D's. And, of course, that's how it's going to be. No one's going to win the league in the end of January. So we've got to hang on in there, keep improving, keep trying to improve the squad where we can. And then make sure we're up there competing when it gets down to the last 5 or 6 games, because that's when it really does get serious.
Thank you, good luck.
No problem.
See, this is the 30th game and ends that next 10-game chunk, and if you win, it's 26 points, which is well ahead of what you were after.
It is, exactly. It's ahead of schedule. We all want the perfect game where you've absolutely trounced the team for possession and goals and shots, and that don't happen. That don't happen anywhere, actually, in any league. But while you're at the top there, the supporters are happy with results at the moment, because actually, if you're not putting 10 passes together and ending up with a 1-2 and an overhead kick or something to score a goal, then sometimes you can be happy with the effort. And I'm really pleased that our supporters are football people. You've had your ups and downs over the years and that, and they know when a team's giving it their all. And the good thing is, I know they know, and that's good, because that's what we're doing, and we're all giving our all at the moment, and that's why we are where we are, and in a position that nobody really would have expected us to, given all the changes that we had to make. But I'm so confident in this group of lads that they so much want to do it. What they want to do, what we're trying to do, and that's get promoted.
Do you feel and do the squad feel that you're sort of getting to the stage where it's beginning to be the run-in now, with sort of 17, 16 games to go?
Yeah, it's not quite the run-in. You got to be careful that you don't not peak too early, because obviously the earlier you peak, the better, sort of thing. But it's going to go a little bit like that for a minute. You just got to make sure you're up there, and you got to make sure that every game you go out to win. And every 3 points is massive. Whether the opposition get 3 points as well or not, you're picking up the 3 points. Someone's dropping them. I mean, when you look at, with all due respect, Wrexham's, Lincoln's, Chester's even, there was a period of time, Bromley's, Braintrees, they were all up there at one point, and gradually they've sort of dropped away from what you would call automatic promotion. They've all probably still got outside chances of the playoffs. Gateshead, another team. These are all teams we played, Woking, that were all in the top 6 at the time when we played them. So, but we've hung on in there, and we've managed to stay pretty consistent in our results, and that's good. So it's really when you get down to the last 5 or 6 games that becomes the real squeaky bum time, you're allowed to say that?
Yeah. Obviously, this is a home game. I think after this, it's 8 and 8 in terms of home and away games, which is the best ratio of the 2 teams. Both Grimsby and Forest Green have got more away games to play than home games.
They have
an impact.
We hope so. Although both those teams are good enough to win away games, it's not always the home team that wins the games if you've got a good away team that are doing well. But teams like Grimsby have also, I think, they got 9 games in 27, 28 days as well, which is why it's important that we get our games in, because some of these teams as well, I'm thinking of Woking, Gateshead, they're still in the trophy. I don't know, obviously they're playing us on the trophy day, so there's 2 games if those 2 get through. So we'll have to manage that when we get there, but at the moment we've got to get all our games on and all our games played, and get there normally, as opposed to suddenly having 3 games a week in the last 4 weeks.
You mentioned last week that there was more to come from James Dayton, even though he was ill and even though he only came on with 15 minutes to go. He showed that on Sunday, didn't he? Yeah,
James has just been really unlucky. He is champion at the beard, I suppose, but champion at the bit to play. But he's always, he's the unluckiest bloke in the world. He gets near the first team and he plays and does his hamstring, and then he's ill. When he gets his opportunity, although as you say he done well, even though he was ill. So he's another one part of the squad that we trust. I said to you, there's more to come from him, just before actually that game, and that's how we'll treat it. And he'll start when we think he's ready to show us exactly what he's got, because he is a player that's an offensive player. He is a clever player when we got the ball, and hopefully he can do a little bit more when we haven't got the ball to come into our way of thinking.
Yeah, in a home game where you might need somebody to sort of unlock a defence.
You his agent or what?
Yeah. Just wondering whether he's done enough to force the start.
He's certainly done enough that when we pick the team, and generally on some occasions you've got like 3 different teams, and on this occasion, because I've got to just manoeuvre a couple of things, I've got 3 different teams, and he's in 1 or 2 of them.
Excellent. Cheers.